Linda with Sweet Aria Decor. Thank you so much for buying this wreath kit. I hope you enjoy making it. I had tons of fun putting it together. Now this is going to be a thin wreath that focuses on this snow globe, let it snow sign. Absolutely adorable. Coordinating with it, we have a 10-inch roll of white metallic border stripe mesh. And then we have 3 ribbons, a 2.5-inch ribbon in a blue that matches the snow globe, and also a red and black plaid with white snowflake, and then a 1.5-inch ribbon that has the black, the red, and then it repeats that glitter that we first saw on that other ribbon. So a very cohesive set of ribbons. You also see a 14-inch wreath frame, a bundle of pipe cleaners, and 2 cable tie mounts. We're going to use this to attach the sign. So how we're going to start today is we want to give it enough time to cure. So we are going to attach the cable tie mounts onto the sign. How we're going to do this is by flipping it over. And I'm just going to snip this off. And we got to think about placement. You can place your wreath in different spots. You can put it directly centered in your wreath. You can put it up a little higher, a little bit lower, or you can put it off to the side. For this one, we are going to be putting it off to the side. So I'm going to be putting some cable tie mounts. If that's going to be the 12 o'clock position or that is a 6 o'clock position, I will want it here. So I'm going to be putting my cable tie mounts here and here. So I keep my fingers on those positions. And I'm going to just kind of put one there and there. Okay. How I like to do this is I use a tube of E6000. So this is a very good craft glue. Now this is going to cure very tightly once it cures, but we have to do something else with hot glue to hold it on just until it's been 24 hours. So if you want to do this ahead of making your wreath, you can. But we also do this and then put hot glue around it so we can go ahead and still put our sign on and make our wreath now. So I am removing the plastic labels off of the back of these cable tie mounts. Okay, and then you can also use a tube of super glue. I just prefer this E6000. It's a nice glue. And I'm just going to add a little dab on the back of each of these. Now that we have our E6000, I'm going to put just a tiny little amount, like the size of a pea, on both of the cable ties. There we go, on the mounts. Okay. And then I'm going to carefully put that lid right back on because that does keep coming out. Okay. So we were putting one right here and then putting one right down here. Okay. Then what I like to do is we're going to take our hot glue gun and we're going to go around here. Now we want to get the glue on both the sign and the plastic mount. So we're going to go all the way around. Okay. There we go. And also over here. And then we're going to let this sit and it's going to cure while we do all the cutting of the materials and making the wreath base and putting on the ribbons. Okay. So I'm going to move our sign off to the side. Move that. Okay. And now let's talk about our wreath frame and how are we going to hold all these materials on here? Well, we're going to use pipe cleaners. That's going to basically hold everything onto here. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to make our frame. Okay, so I'm going to undo our pipe cleaners. Now there's 17 here, so that is enough to do 12 pieces of mesh and ribbon, 2 for the sign, so that takes you to 14, and then there's 3 extra, so that way you can either do 1 larger bow or 3 smaller bows based on how you like to do your bows. So I wanted to give you that option. So we're going to start here with the wreath frame, and you will see that there are 4 rings going around. These are the inner rings that I call 1 and 2 are inner, 3 and 4 are the outer rings. And then there are spines that go across at the 12, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10 o'clock positions. What I do to start with is I'm going to put the pipe cleaner underneath rung 2 on the left side of the spine. Okay, I'm going to hold it there with my thumb. I'm going to wrap it around the top of the wreath frame on ring 1, back under ring 2, but now I'm on the right side of the spine. So we're straddling that spine now. And then I bring it back up by ring 1. So it kind of makes a W shape and we're straddling that spine. Okay, then I bring them together and I give it a good twist. And that is what is going to hold our mesh and ribbon. Let's do that again. Underneath ring 2 on the left of the spine. Over ring 1 to the right of the spine. Underneath ring 2 to the right of the spine. Bring it back up to the top. Bring them together and give it a twist. Okay? If you've done this before, you can feel free during this video to fast forward to any part that you want to. I like to do this in real time. That way beginners see that I'm doing it right along with them. And by looking at the length of the video, they'll know roughly how long it's going to take them to make this wreath as well. Okay, here we go. The reason I chose the black pipe cleaners is mainly because of the topmost ribbon. It is a red with black with the icicle, and it also has a red and black plaid in there, so I thought that that would actually go and be camouflaged the most. We don't want to see our pipe cleaners. Okay. And then again, here we go. Underneath ring 2, the left of the spine to the right of the spine, over ring 1, under ring 2. Bring it back around to the top of ring 1, pull together, and twist. All right? So that does it for the first 6 on the inside. Well, what about the outside? It's the same general concept. I do it a little bit differently. So I'm going to bring the pipe cleaner. Now we're between spines, okay? We're between spines because we don't want to have all of our mesh in the same spots. That will not give us a round-shaped wreath. It'll make it have like weird ridges. It won't look right. So we're going to go between the spines. I put it on top of ring 3. Bring around underneath ring 4. Over ring 3. Underneath ring 4 again. Okay, so basically just kind of wrap it around there twice, and then I'm just going to pinch. Here we go, and just going to twist it. And notice I'm twisting at the spine spot on 3. If you twist it where the metal is, it does tend to stay a little bit better. We want that. And I gave it a little tighter tug too. So here we go. Top of ring 3, under 4, over 3, back under 4. Give it a light, tight little tug. So it pulls a little bit, and it's okay if the wreath frame bends in a little bit. We want it to not slide back and forth. So by giving it that tight little tug, it's going to keep it from doing that. All right, I'm going to speed it up a little bit. Since you know what you're doing now, hopefully you're keeping up with me. And by all means, please do not feel like you need to make this wreath all in one sitting. It is a lot. I know my back starts to hurt after a while, so you can just stop and start up again whenever you feel like it. It's not a marathon, and no one is going to know how much time total it took you to make a wreath. Unless they're sitting there watching you, they're not going to know. So take it easy on your back, your hands. Crafting should not hurt. That's why I use a bow making tool, and that's how I'm going to make my bow, which I will show you later. That is included as part of this tutorial. All right, so here is the 12th. Boom. All right. We have our 6 on the inside, 6 on the outside. All right, I'm going to put these to the side. I'm going to put the ring to the side, and we're going to talk cutting materials. Now I'm going to cut my mesh. I like to cut my mesh at 18 inches a piece because I want to try to keep it a little bit flatter. So that's typically how I do it. Then what that does is that leaves me a whole half roll. There should be 6 pieces left on a roll. And if you have a second kit, you can take the leftover 6 pieces from that, put them together. You've got 12 pieces, and you've got the start of another wreath base, right? It's all about making your materials go far. There's lots of different ways you can cut this. You can just kind of lay it out, roll it down. I use a rotary cutter. So at 18 inches, I just go straight up. You can also just cut up with your scissors. I also have, this is Susie's Triple Stationary Mesh Roller. I have a roller that will hold my mesh for me. I love it. It is very helpful. It also does hold ribbon. So I like to put my mesh on that. And I also like to lay my mesh nice and flat over here because that's how we're going to put it together as kind of like curl side down. So I'm going to stack it over there. If I stack it, that means that it's not going to be sliding all over my table and falling off the end. Nothing makes me more angry than when my mesh goes flying off the table. That's 3 pieces. 4. 5. 6. 7 pieces. 8. 9. It's getting a little crazy in here. Here we go. 10. Can I get 2 more without it going crazy here? 11. Woo! I'm making a mesh, guys. I'm making a mesh. All right, and 12. There's our 12th piece. All right. So I like to kind of grab them up, like maybe 3 at a time. Just kind of grab them where they all start, okay? And then just kind of unroll them all together. Unroll it, okay? Flip it over, and then just stack it up, and then just put something with a little weight on it, right? This makes it just so much easier. It's a little bit extra time, but it's easier and less frustrating when your material, you don't want it to start snagging or curling up on you and go flying. I don't find it enjoyable to be crafting when I'm stressed. So the more I can do to kind of make this relaxing, the better. 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces, and piece number 5. There we go. So we should have our 12 pieces of mesh all cut. There we go. I'm going to put this on there now. I'm going to need my scissors. I'm going to move my mesh roller off to the side. And now let's talk cutting the ribbon. Okay. I cut all my ribbon tails at 14 inches. You can choose to go smaller and do 13 inches if you want. I do provide you with full rolls of ribbon. Okay. Now this is a ribbon tail board, so I can wrap it around here. You can also simply just take it out and measure and cut one at a time on here. If you want to, just go, 1, 2, 3. We're going to cut 12 pieces of this. Okay, so let me start with a nice cut at the end. All right, so this is how you would cut it on a board. Just cut it to 14. So that's piece number 1. Piece number 2. All right, so you could go on like that. Or you can use this ribbon tail board that I got from Hot Mesh Mom. I love it so much. So I've got 2 cut. I need 10 more. I just hold it on the end and I just wrap it around. 1, 2, so this makes piece 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay, I'm going to cut that on the back. Now when I slide it out, it's going to basically be in big loop. Okay, big loop. But I'm going to slide my scissors right down the end here. Make 1 cut here. Slide my scissors down here. You can also cut a piece of cardboard to length. If you've got a box, cut the piece of cardboard to length. I mean, that board may not hold up for long, but it should hold up for a project. Okay. Now I'm stacking this. Make sure everything is all nicely stacked. We're going to bend our wired edges together. Okay, so that's kind of what it looks like. Looks like a taco. Cut outward on an angle. Cut from the inside, angle toward the wired edges. Cut outward. You get a dovetail. It's a V shape. It ends up looking very nice, and it helps keep your ribbons from fraying. It just gives it a nice finishing touch. Okay. I'm going to do that in stacks of 6, but you don't have to. If your scissors aren't as sharp, if you want to go a little slower, just cut a few at a time. Okay. You don't need to do exactly as I do. The whole point of this kit is to give you the basics, but you need to put your own unique spin on this to make it your wreath. Okay. Here we go. All right, perfect. This is going to go off to the side because I'm going to use that for the bow. And let me dovetail these 2 other ones that we had really quickly, the ones that I cut by hand. Snip and snip. And these, by the way, are my blue-handled scissors. I love these. I got these from my friend Max at mbcrafts.com. I happen to like them much better than the orange Fiskars. Not that there's anything wrong with the orange Fiskars, but they're just, I think, a better cut. Okay, we're going to do the same thing now with this blue ribbon. I'm going to cut 12 pieces. Okay. Sometimes it's easier too to, like, you can bend some of the ribbon over the tail to kind of help hold it there, and then we'll just kind of cut that little tiny bit off. See that little tiny piece? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right. Cut that. Slide that off. Cut down that side. cut down this side. Okay. I'm going to bend that in half, dovetail. And dovetail. Oh, I had an extra. Oh, my. Here we go. Sometimes when you get a thicker ribbon too, it just gets a little harder to cut that much at once. So you may want to create multiple stacks. Okay. I do love me a good dovetail. There we go. I love this ribbon. I like this icy aqua blue. It's one of my favorite colors for Halloween. I do a lot of snowman themed stuff sometimes, certain years. Though some years I actually just kind of alternate out, like this year I'm alternating out what I'm putting out. Okay, now this optional, you do not have to cut ribbon tails with this 1.5 inch ribbon. I want to do that, but you can just save this for the bow if you'd like. But I'm going to cut tails, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, here we go. Sliding off. Cutting through here. And then cutting through the other end. Okay. All right. Now we're going to dovetail this. It's a little bit harder to kind of fold and dovetail this, so just make sure all your ends look even. Just because it's a narrower ribbon, okay? It's a little trickier, but it'll turn out cute. I do love snowman themed stuff so much. And sometimes, you know, if it doesn't have other stuff in there, like this has some gingerbread and some what do you call those guys? Penguins on it, which are really cute. But sometimes if it's just plain snowman, then you can leave that out much past Christmas, I mean, until it stops snowing. So here in Chicago, you can keep it out till April. It's crazy. We have crazy weather here in Chicago. I'm hoping it's going to be a mild winter. But even if it's not, it's okay. We're going to let it snow, like it says on the snow globe sign. I'm going to enjoy it because it'll be hot as blazes again here soon enough. All right, let's get rid of all these other tails. Having a clean workspace helps me enjoy this more. So we got that all cleared off. Let's bring our wreath frame back. All right. We got multiple pairs of scissors all over the place here. Kind of crazy. Okay. So what we're going to do is keep the ribbons up here. I'm going to bring over a piece of mesh. Okay. And you see how it wants to curl up? We want it to go curl side down. Okay, so there's the curl. Go curl side down. Lay it as flat as you can. Okay, and we're going to try to go up the center. You kind of like scrape it up the center almost. You're ruffling it. You're gathering it. Okay, stay centered. And you're going to end up with something that looks like a bow tie. Okay, we are going to put that over here. We're starting on the outside frame, okay? We're going to put our mesh in the outside frame. Right down the center. We're going to pull up the one piece from the bottom, the other pipe cleaner from the top. Give it a good twist. Okay, but then it looks like this. What do? We're going to layer the left over the right. Layer left over right. And now you have a circle, which is exactly this size and shape that we want to go for, okay? I like to push those into the middle. Makes it a little bit easier. Let's go around and put the rest of these on the outside. Now, there's 2 methods to do this. I will show you a lazier method when it comes to the top layer, okay? But for right now, we're going to put on all the mesh on the bottom, and then we'll put on all the ribbon, okay? And if you've done this before, or once you get the hang of it, please fast forward to the next part that you want to in this video. I won't be offended. I won't know. Okay. Keeping that on there so it doesn't pop off. Okay. Piece number 3, going up from the middle. Okay. Get that pipe cleaner lined up. I like to have it kind of above and below. It makes it easier, less fighting for it once I put the mesh in there. Okay, there we go. There we go. And there we go. All right, let's get another piece. Lay it flat. Oh my gosh, I don't want those. See, I don't want those going off the end of the table. Behave yourselves, babies. Behave yourselves. All right, here we go. Scraping this up. And with this mesh, you know, it's mesh. So there are going to be times you're going to see little bits of fraying or whatnot, tiny little bits. I call them chin hairs. So when you run across one, just snip it. Okay? Just snip it. All right? Like you're plucking your chin hairs at night in front of the TV. That's what I do, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. If I didn't, I would have a 5 o'clock shadow. All right, here we go. Okay, this is piece number 5. Going around there, going around there. And now let's grab number 6. All right. And then for now, I'm just going to move my mesh off to the side until we bring it back for the top, just to make it a little bit easier to kind of show you how I put on the ribbons are on the bottom. So here we go. Okay. Open that up. Pop it in. Put it in there. Pinch, twist. All right. And you notice I have not cut off any of these pipe cleaners. We are just leaving them as it is because we do still need to put the ribbon in. All right, so let's talk ribbon. We have our 3 pieces of ribbon. I like to line them up in order of how I'm going to put them on there. So this is going to be my bottom. This is going to come on next. And notice I've got this, like, this is directional ribbon. There's a clear up and down, kind of. I'm looking at these snowmen and the penguin to guide me. So I'm kind of putting that where they're facing to the right. And then I'm going to put on that tail. Okay, so they're all nicely stacked, kind of pretty much centered as much as you can. It's not going to be exact. Bend it in half, make a seam, go over this way, pinching it up the middle, bend it into a V shape. Now we're going to open up our pipe cleaners, okay? And notice the mesh didn't pop out. It stayed nice and pretty. We're just going to set that ribbon in there. We're going to give it a good twist. Now I continue twisting this. I leave about an inch. Okay, so untwist. Twist it. There's an inch. And snip. Toss the rest. Now we're going to have to deal with, what do we do with this? We're going to do what I call separate the butt cheeks. This, you know, here, you get your little butt cheeks of that. Separate your butt cheeks. Put it behind there. Bring it back together. That's all you got to do. And then now we want to separate our ribbons. So each one, make sure you just yank it so it acts independently. They shouldn't be stuck on each other, attached to each other, except at the center point. Okay, and then you just kind of figure out how you want your pattern to be. So here's one option where you can have the 1.5 inch in the center, and then it goes to the blue, and then it goes to that. Or you can do what I like to do, and I like to just mimic the same pattern. So I go red, globe, narrow, red, globe, narrow. Okay. And these might scoot around a little bit as you make your wreath. You'll come back to it. It'll learn its place and where it needs to be. All right. So as the materials get added, they're gonna scooch a little bit. And that's okay. We will do a final placement at the end. So we're gonna move this around. Here we go with plaid. And we're going to do snow globe and narrow. All right. Boom. Bend it in half. Okay. Make our V shape. Nice and pinched. Opening up. Popping it in. Twisting it closed. Twist an inch. Snip off the rest. Open the butt cheeks. Push it through, wrapping it around back of the frame. And then bring your butt cheeks back together. Now separate out your ribbons. Okay. Red on the top. The globe, and then the narrow, then the red, globe and the narrow. All right, we're going to continue doing that all the way around the rest of our wreath. If you bought this kit from my shop, thank you so much. I really, really do appreciate it. I love helping people make things. I believe that crafting is the greatest therapy. It gives you back a sense of control. I started really delving into this once I lost my husband to sarcoma in 2020, 4 days before Christmas, which was very difficult. But it did not make me hate Christmas. I was determined not to associate the two, and I don't, so I'm lucky. But crafting really got me through. Like I said, it gave me back that sense of control, because sometimes life is just out of control. So it's great therapy. Now, it's probably, like I've been saying, probably more expensive than a real therapist. But Hobby Lobby doesn't take my insurance. So that's why I craft like this instead. It's fun. But my motto is to make pretty from pain. So even though you're going through something, you can end up making something productive come out of it. And I like crafting because it lets you really just concentrate on what you're doing in the moment. And sometimes it lets you get out of your head, get outside yourself, right? Focus on something else. You can focus on counting, on the process, whatnot. And I think it really reduces stress. Unless you're looking for a tool or a roll of ribbon you can't find and you know you have it. And then it might increase your stress a little bit. But that's okay, right? I do have lots of kits in my shop. Now, you're probably seeing these Christmas ones, but I do have kits for Easter, Halloween, 4th of July. I'm going to be expanding upon the supplies available in my shop to include, you can also buy individual rolls of ribbon, individual rolls of mesh. I'm starting to sell individual rolls of signs, or individual signs as well. So that is something that you can be looking for in my shop, because I love to help people create. It's my passion. I used to work in corporate America. That is not my passion. Not in the least. I like to own my time and own my days. And that's why I'm trying to do this as a full-time business. I've got a couple years left to make it work before I have to make a decision on what I want to do. So we shall see. But if I can get the more support I can get from everybody else, the increases my chances that I can keep on doing this for the long term. So I appreciate that. If you can, if you're watching this video on YouTube, if you can like and subscribe, that would help me out immensely. I'd really, really appreciate that. And that way, when I post new videos, you can be the first to know. And a lot of times I'll post videos for things that aren't even kits. They're just, hey, if you want to make something like this, get your own supplies. We do arrangements. We just focus on bow making. I haven't done garlands lately. I didn't do a garland yet this year, but I should. Lots of different things. Bows for coach lights and centerpieces. And of course, my big giant jack-o'-lanterns were a huge hit this year. So those are always really, really fun to make. I've got a video showing you how to make your own. All right, here's the last one on the outside. Okay. So now we're just focusing on that, getting the last one in, and then I'll show you a slightly different method you can use on the inside. All right, I call it the lazy method because I'm lazy. Okay, here we go. Wrapping this around, snip. All right, putting that behind there. I like to say put it between the butt cheeks. It's fun. I like to laugh. If you can't laugh at life, what is the point? We need to get as much joy and as many giggles as we can where we can. All right. Here we go. So this is the outside. Now on the inside, I'm going to go through and I'm going to stand these pipe cleaners up now because I want to be able to easily see where I need to put the mesh. So it takes a couple seconds, but it honestly makes it a lot easier. So I don't have to go searching for it when I've got a cruffle in my hand and I don't know where the pipe cleaners are. Okay. So here we go. We can see our 6 spots on the inside. So they're going to go between here. Okay. It's going to help fill it out. Now this is where the lazy method comes in. So I'm going to start off again, just by doing the same cruffle that I did before, doing the same thing, laying it flat, ruffling it up the center. Okay. Ruffle, 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 ruffle. All right. I'm going to open this up right here. Putting this in. I'm going to pop it closed. Now here's where your option comes in. Okay. Let's layer that over. Make sure we've got our little circle shape. You can continue with just putting the mesh all the way around, or you can do what I do and to be lazy. I'm already here. It's already facing me. I'm going to put the ribbon in now. I've got the mesh in. I'm going to do the ribbon. All we have to do then when we're done is just go around and make sure that the ribbon is on top of all the mesh, which takes about 10 seconds, right? But this way I don't have to keep rotating the wreath. I don't have to keep, you know, undoing and redoing the pipe cleaners. Okay, so here we go. Okay. Snip, pop it back behind there between the butt cheeks and separate it out again. Here we go. And this is good mesh. I like using this mesh because, you know, the stuff that I buy is, you know, higher quality. Nothing wrong with getting, you know, Hobby Lobby mesh. Michael's mesh, I use it for my tomato cage trees, and that is about it. That to me does fray a little bit more. And also sometimes you only get 18 feet instead of 30 feet. So, okay, so there's the one. But like when we're done, we put on the sign, we flip it over, and that's when I give it a nice little check on the back, looking for any extra little stray chin hairs that we may need to give a little snippy to. All right, here we go. I'm gonna have that. I'm ready. I'm just gonna put that over here for a second. I'm gonna grab my mesh. Just jumping the gun. There we go. I like to throw these little pieces away right away too. I don't want any little stray things to get stuck in my wreath and then I don't see it. And then I don't want it to fall out, you know, when somebody ends up like putting up their wreath. I don't want like a piece of ribbon tail to fall out, right? Because that kind of speaks to the effort and quality I like to put into my work. As I teach you a method called Lazy Pancake. There we go. I did learn this method from Sincerely Creative Mom, which Coach Melissa. She's with Deco Exchange. That is where I learned to do this method. So I like to give props where props are absolutely due. She is the queen. I'm just an imitator. But she does hers a little differently now. I still use the metal frames. Here we go. Cut off everything but an inch. Pop it back behind there. Separate out my ribbons. Now, the one thing that will be a little tricky once it comes to making the bow is that this is directional ribbon with that, the Snowglobe print. What directional ribbon means is that there's a clear up and down pattern to it. So we have to do just a little extra thought, a little extra planning in our bow to make sure that everything comes out looking not upside down. We don't want little gingerbread, little reindeers in there to end up getting all confused and being stuck upside down. Nobody wants that. Okay, here we go. Ruffling this up in the middle. Boop. Bow tie. It looks like that farfalle pasta shape, doesn't it? A little bow tie pasta. Okay. Got that on there. Let's get our ribbons. I'm trying to hurry because I want to get home before my daughter walks through the door. You may hear her walk in. She usually comes home in a good mood. I hope she comes home in a good mood. Oh, please let her come home in a good mood. She's 12, so you know at that age, you never know what kind of day she's had or what the hormones are doing. Save me. There we go. Between my husband and I, she's kid number 6. So it's not like, we're not new to this rodeo. Well, he's not on the rodeo, unfortunately. I wish he were here. But he had 3 kids and I had 2 kids, and then together we had a baby when I was 40, which was a surprise. But all the older kids, her brothers and sisters, are between 26 and 32. And then she's, you know, kind of, it's like she's got the best of both worlds. She's kind of being raised like an only child, but she does have siblings. So, which I think is cool, because I grew up an only child, and it was, you know, it had its perks. Believe me, it had its perks, but it was also kind of lonely. And I was really close with my cousin. She was an only child as well, so we kind of were the closest thing we had to sisters. And unfortunately, in December, almost 4 years ago now, we lost her to cancer as well. So that was really rough. That's why December is a very rough month for me. But again, I made a conscious effort to not associate anyone's passing with Christmas, because I think it makes it a little less painful to have to see the decor and deal with all that stuff. It's always hard. But she loved Christmas, and I know she wants me to keep loving Christmas. So in honor of my Jenny, I'm keeping on loving Christmas, Jen. She used to do this funny thing where she would put olives on all of her fingers and eat them off. And it's funny. My best holiday memories are with her. And I know she joins me every Christmas. But now that she's not here, she's probably mad because I don't have olives anymore. She's the only one that ate them. Sorry, Jen. Maybe this year I'll get you some olives and I'll just put them out. Here we go. All right. See, I do prefer the lazy pancake method because I don't want to have to go back and move things around. And like if I'm in this spot, why not be one and done, get it all done? But see, this is what I'm talking about. See how now the mesh is over the ribbon? So all I have to do is just fix it. That's all I got to do. That's the only difference, right, with the lazy pancake method versus doing it the traditional style. That's it. It's just a boom, boom, boom. And there we go. And plus, I'm going to have to go around and re-fluff and reposition all the ribbons anyway when I'm done. So now I've given you two options. You can decide which way is best for you. Okay. One at the middle. Go. Going through here. Only got one more to do after this. You're doing great. If you've made it this far and you're still hanging in there with me, congratulations. You are doing great. You are going to love what it looks like when you're done. You know, when they say trust the process. Yeah, because sometimes I've made stuff and I'm looking at it like, oh my gosh, this is not going to work. But in the end, it does. You just got to not look at it as it's not finished yet. So you just got to trust it's going to look like it's supposed to when it's all done. There we go. All right. Okay. Opening it up, putting them in. I like to make sure I tug it nice and tight. Not so much that you're going to hurt your hands, but enough where it gives it a little pop, you know, when it kind of pops up a little bit. Okay, so we're still separating this out. Okay. All right, one more to go. Here we go, here we go, here we go. All right, last ruffle. So exciting. I do sell a lot of thin wreaths here out by Chicago. It's because a lot of people have the glass storm doors. The ones I sold over the weekend at my craft show, all thin, all skinny wreaths. Go. Plus, they're really good for interior doors. So if you like to hang wreaths like bedroom doors, right? But, you know, you don't want them sticking out too far in the hallway because hallways are narrow. So these are great for those spaces. Kitchen pantry doors. Can you imagine? Do a little gingerbread theme with a little thin wreath. You can even put them in the bathroom. There we go. It's a great style. And it's also, this is something you can do with kids too. Like you have to help them cut, but they can put the placement and the twisting and doing all the rest of this. So this would be a great thing to do. Like if you have a Girl Scout troop or something like that, you know, and if you ever want to bulk pricing on kits, if you're going to do, you know, teach a class or whatnot, and you want, 10 kits of this or whatever, let me know, reach out to me. I love to work with people, whatever's going to help people increase their love of crafting. Share the therapy. Okay, so now we have our sign. These are fully attached. We're going to be putting it 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Always keep those positions in your mind, okay? We're going to be putting it kind of like at 2 and 6 is where I'm putting this. So I'm going to take 2 of my pipe cleaners. Now remember, this is still, and we just glued this on, so don't pull too tightly, okay? We don't want to go yanking this off. We should ideally let this sit for 24 hours, but none of us do. We're impatient. I'm not going to let it sit that long. All right. We're going to take these pipe cleaners. We're going to go right over this spot right here that already has pipe cleaners. I'm going to put it right over that. The path is already there. Just put it right through. So it is over ring 1 and comes out, and it's under ring 2. So that's going to give us the best placement for that. Okay, I'm going to put that down, flip it over. Okay. Now I'm pulling it so it's slightly tight, but not overdone. Okay, and then it's going to twist. I like to twist at the part where the metal is. Okay. Twist this. Keep these long because in case you want to move your placement, but snip off the ends so that they're even. Trim some of your stray hairs. Okay, this actually looks pretty good here. All right, and then just wrap the rest of this right underneath your frame, okay? So we've wrapped that pipe cleaner around. There's nothing on the back here that's going to scratch your door. Now let's flip it over. Now put your hand underneath the sign when you flip it, okay? And now I'm going to do the same thing over here at the 2 o'clock position, right here. I'm going to put it straddling that pipe cleaner in either one. All right, that's coming through. All right. Okay. Pull this. The same thing. Twist it. That's pretty even. I don't even have to trim it. Just bring it around your frame. Bend it back over. All right. All right. Here's our sign. All right. This is all looking good, but you know, hey, what are we going to put here? You have options. You can make 3 smaller bows, or you can end up making 1 larger bow, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a bow that goes here, and it's going to kind of come over this way, and it's going to cover this. All right. So before I do that, though, my daughter just got home. Yay! Hi, Ari. She's so good. She's trying to be quiet. All right, I'm going to wrap this over. Make sure that all looks good. But again, here we go. Ribbons over mesh. Okay, ribbons over mesh. All right. That's all aligning. Here we go. All right. I just wanted to kind of get that prepped, pre-prepped, ready to go. She's already going gaming on her headset. Oh, that kid. There's one thing she loves, it's that. Little does she know she's going to have to do homework as soon as I'm off this. Wahaha. Thought she could enjoy her afternoon, could she? Never. There's homework. All right. All right. They start learning their placement, and they'll learn where they need to stay. Okay, I'm going to move this behind me. I'm going to bring out my bow maker. So you can find this in the link tree in my bio, my profile. This is the Easy Bows Design Pro. This is what I use to make my bows. It is my friend, my bestest friend, because I have tendon issues. So if you can make a bow by hand and you want to do it that way, that's fantastic. And I applaud you. I cannot do that. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a bow that's going to be wider. So it's meant to be flatter. Okay, so I like to start out by dovetailing. I'm going to dovetail this. Okay, and I'm going to do a tail that is I'm going to do like a 6.5 inch tail. Okay, so as I put it in here, measure 6.5, right? But I'm pinching and twisting on this left hand side, so I'm looking at the back side of the ribbon. Okay, that's going to be the back of the loop. I'm going to bring it around, and here we go. We're going to have a loop, and I'm having this loop hit 6 inches, okay? So that's a 6-inch loop. And then as I push it down on the right, I'm pinching and twisting. So then I'm looking at the back side on the right, okay? I'm going to bring this over 6 inches. pinch and twist, and then I'm going to do another set of loops again. Pinch and twist, bring it over. Okay, pinch and twist, bring it over. Make sure that's hit 6 inches. Okay, now that kind of hit, it's almost at 7 actually. It's a little bit closer to 7. So if I cut this tail off at 7, and then I dovetail it, it's going to take a little bit of the length off, so then it should match very closely the one on the other side. Ta-da! All right, now you've got it stacked. Well, where you're supposed to move your loops, right? So for this particular one, I want to do loop, up and down, and then a tail. Okay. So I'm going to have my loops up and down, and then the tail. Loops up and down, and then a tail. Okay. Now, I'm going to take this one off. There should be plenty of ribbon left. You can make a whole other bow with the amount of ribbon that's going to be left. You can put it on a lantern, staircase, garland, whatever you want, but reuse that. You know, make another bow right away. You can even make it as a gift bow. Like, put it on the package and you can reuse those every year. Here's our directional ribbon, clear up and down pattern. Okay. I'm going to dovetail it. Okay, now I'm going to start from the right, going to the left. Okay, right to the left. I'm going to have the length hit at about, because this loop is going to be 5 inches. So this one's going to hit like maybe a little less than 5.5. Okay, put that there. I'm going to pinch and twist. Okay, pinch and twist, and bring this over. So we're going to have a loop at 5 inches. Okay. Pinch it down, and then we're going to bring this down, bring a tail. So we're going to have this tail up, a loop that goes kind of sideways. It's going to go right over this. And then a tail coming down. Okay. And then we're going to hit that tail. Look at the one that's below, that's above it. I want to hit that right there. So I got to cut a little further out, so that once I dovetail it, they will be very close to the same length. Okay. And it's all because of this directional ribbon. One other thing you can do with directional ribbon too, if you want to use a different style, is if you need to change where it's placed, just take your loop, if it's upside down, and just twist your loop, and you can go like that, and it changes the direction of it. Now it looks kind of the same because it's kind of coming out evenly here, right? All right. All right, now we're going to go do from the other side. Okay, so I'm going to pinch, I'm going to do that, but I can't start it like that from up here. I have to start it like that from down here. So again, we're starting down at the bottom. Okay, that hit just at 6. This is going to hit just at 6. Okay, so we're going to pinch and twist, do the same thing. Pinching and twisting. We are making a loop that's about 5.5 inches. Okay, and then that tail is going to come out, kind of match the other one. All right, so we're going to, there, dovetail. All right. So let's separate this all out now. Okay, we've got our reds, got our ice blues. Okay. And now we are going to go in and add our last layer, which is this 1.5 inch. We're going to do something a little bit different because we have the center. Okay, but fortunately this isn't directional. Woo, thank you, Lordy. All right, we're going to kind of mimic what we did with the other one, where we're going to kind of have a tail. There we go. We're going to have a tail. So that's going to hit at, yeah, we'll hit it like 5 inches. Okay, pinch and twist. Bring this around. Now I like to have this 1.5 inch come in a little bit shorter. So this is going to be about 4.5 inches on the loop. Okay, bring this around. 4.5 inches on the loop. Pinch and twist. We're going to do it again for another set of loops. 4.5. Pinch and twist. 4.5. Pinch and twist. All right, looking good. Now I'm going to cut this off a little further. Let's dovetail. All right, now we're going to go loop, loop with tail in the middle. Loop, loop with tail in the middle. All right. And now I want to go back in. We're going to add just a cute extra little center loop. Okay, so I'm going to put that tiny little tail down. So that's going to hit kind of the same length. Okay, pinch and twist. If you didn't want extra tails, you could have just gone through and added an extra loop, but I wanted to add a little bit more fun in here. I'm going to put a loop in there. I've got it measuring 3 fingers wide, which is about 2 inches. Okay, and then kind of bringing this. Do that. All right, so it's kind of something fun. Or if you have a different color, you want solid red in the center for just a cute little loop, you know, you can do that too. Okay, so let's go back and we're going to grab our one pipe cleaner. I'm going to pick this up. I'm pushing down from the top as I pull up from the bottom. Think of it like a BLT sandwich. Don't let any of your layers go. All right, I poke it right through my fingers, so I'm not letting anything go. Bring it around. I make it kind of level, right? And then I'm just going to push the whole thing on the ground. Put it on the table. Pinch and twist. At least twice, right? The tighter you can make it, the more your loops will pop. They can pop a little bit, because don't forget, this is a thin wreath, so we don't want this super, super fluffy. Okay, so we're going to come back out with our loops. There, there, there. Okay. It's easier too to like do this once it's on the wreath, but I like to make sure I kind of like the general placement of everything first. Okay, there's that layer. All right, loop. Yeah, and then now center, and then we're working with our tails. Just gonna have this come down. All right. There we go. And then, so this loop can go completely flat if you needed to. You know what? I'm actually going to pull this a little bit. I want to make it a little bit smaller. There we go. All right, there we go. So then I can dovetail this better to more match this. All right. We have our bow. We have our bow, and it's done. We'll move this to the side. We're going to put it on our wreath, and then we're done. You guys are amazing. Look what you have done. And now that you know how to do this, you can use the same concept with any kind of wreath, right? You know, any theme, whatever you want to do, Easter, every day, all that kind of stuff. So this is, when you look at this wreath, okay, this was 12 and 6. We're putting it at the 10 o'clock position. Okay, I'm going to do what I did before. I'm just going to sandwich on either side of the pipe cleaner that's already there, right? You're just going to straddle what's already there. It's going to come out on the outside of ring 1, and then on the opposite side of ring 2. Sometimes it's a little bit of a struggle to try to get it through all these layers of mesh, but you know, just pull it out a little bit and start again. Okay. All right, now I'm pulling it. Okay, I've got it nice and tight. I'm going to go twist this the same way like we put on the sign, just twist it all together, okay? And then just wrap it around the frame. Boom. It looks good. We've done it, all right? Now let's do a fluff, though, of the bow, all right? The whole point, though, of having this bow kind of be a little bit wider is we don't want too much of this pattern to be going over the snow globe. Okay, so it can kind of like come close to and kind of touch a little bit, but we don't want to end up messing up the trees or whatnot. But see, I like this. This almost ends up looking like a bit of a star shape, doesn't it? Okay. Moving this around with our loops. All right. Okay. Then just do a final little placement of all of the rest of your ribbons on here. Now go back around, fluff, reposition. Don't be afraid to, like, you know, give it a good tug. Sometimes you got to be a little hard on it. It's like your kid. Sometimes you got to be a little hard on it so it learns what it's supposed to do. Well, that makes me sound like a really bad mom. I'm sure my daughter might agree with that. That's all right. Okay. All right. I think the top layer is the most important one, but don't forget also to kind of go out and check the bottom layer when it comes to your ribbons as well. Sometimes if you hang it up on the wall, you'll be able to better see, uh-oh, I should have had this here, or I should have done that, right? So you'll be able to kind of see a little bit better. That. All right. And here we go. Here is our completed Let It Snow thin winter wreath. Now it does measure 22 inches wide roughly, and on the depth it is, yeah, I mean, when you squish it all down, it's about 4.5 inches. If you really squish it, you can get it to 4 inches, right? But I like to kind of leave these a little loopy. But again, flatten it down, flatten it, still looks good, and it'll fit in your storm door. All right, I'll get back fluffy. Go back fluffy. There we go. Awesome. Thank you all so much for joining me today. I really, really appreciate it. I'm so proud of you for making your wreath, and I hope that you have a fantastic holiday, and I will see you guys on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Go find me there. I'll be waiting. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. You can shop all of my items at sweetariadecor.com, and you can follow me all over social media.